Welcome back for part 5. We're going to start talking about our support committee and leadership roles, about our circle structures, meeting basics, and adult to scout ratios. A couple other handy topics that you will need for your circle. How you organize your charter is very much up to you. These are more suggestions depending on how much organization you need. We recommend that each circle have a support committee to help run the behind-the-scenes work of the circle. This could include organizing field trips, procuring supplies, providing tribal council representatives, fundraising, and others as required by your individual charter. Every circle for sure needs one leader and a representative from the sponsor, and a scout representative is at least the bare minimum we recommend if you're going to set up a committee. And that can be a rotating role. You absolutely have to have a leader because they are the one that connects with Spiral Scouts HQ. If you have a sponsor, you want a representative from them to make sure that your ideas and expectations of the group and the sponsorship are aligning. And we always suggest including a scout, primarily, especially if you have older kids, to make sure that their voices are being heard. This may not be practical or necessary if you are working with like raindrops or fireflies. Of course, you want to reach out to them and find out what they want to do. But if you're having a committee and all your kids are younger scouts, it may be that you ask them later. Your support committee will be mainly made up of registered volunteers and parents. At least one leader must serve on this committee. It may also include a representative from the sponsor, if we have one. Oh, and if you have a sponsor on your committee, they do not have to register with your circle. Potential offices that you may want to include on your committee: a treasurer, a webmaster, if you have a website or a Facebook group, a field trip coordinator, tribal council representatives, badge planning, historian, and something like admin, secretary, record keeping. And you may find that other offices are needed. These are all suggestions. So circles. Now that we've talked through the basics of the PC process, let's talk a bit about circles versus hearths. Really, the only difference is whether or not you're a multi-family group. Hearths are for single families wanting to engage in scouting, while circles are for multiple families. If you're a hearth, remember that you can upgrade to a circle at any point. You just need to reach out to HQ, fill out the form we will provide, and pay the difference in chartering fees. Or some people will decide to upgrade when it comes for their renewal. This page addresses some of the unique features of a circle. The first is that all charters, especially as they grow larger, have the operation of separating into smaller scout-level groups or regional groups within a local setting. These groups are also able to meet at different times or days if required, but they still have to meet the same minimum leadership requirements. So say that you have a large city, but you'd still like to come together. You could set your charter up kind of like a pack that you would see in Cub Scouts, but maybe this group is on the west side of town, and this group is on the east side of town, and this group is on the north side of town. You have 3 groups. You could call each of those a shard of your charter, but still be one charter, and get together to have one big meeting per month. Or maybe you have 40 kid group of varying age levels, and the kids want to be separated out by age, or the parents would prefer that. Well, then your shards could all meet together but separate into groups, or meet at different days and times. But again, you can still come together as a group of varying age groups and do activities together. This is the great thing about Spiral Scouts. All the badges are the same at every level, and so you can always work together on a badge. Normally, each circle would have only 2 registered leaders and as many registered volunteers as needed to meet the registered adult to scout ratios. However, if a charter is large enough to require separation at individual scout levels, then that circle may have up to 4 registered leaders, one responsible for each scout level, assisted by a registered volunteer. Remember, 2 registered adults at all time. We'll be talking about that in a few moments with the ratios. And one of those leaders needs to serve as the main contact for the entire charter. As you can see, there's lots of opportunities and ways that you can manage a circle. Let's talk about basic meetings. You want to make sure before a meeting to have everything you need on hand. This could be crafting supplies for badge work, who's bringing the snacks, items for opening and closing ceremony. If you have a dedicated space, this may be an opportunity to see if they have some sort of storage solution for you. So it might be possible that you can store a lot of this stuff on site. I suggest that leaders arrive in the meeting location at least 20 minutes before the meeting is going to start. You have people that get early. It gives you time to set up. And don't forget to include your scouts in some of this. Maybe you decide that each week a family is going to help with setup and cleanup. I think that's one of the options. I think that may be one of the requirements in the Gold Award is to have officer duties. And that may be as simple as having kids have designated chores to help start teaching them those responsibilities. And a lot of charters will have a pre-meeting activity for the children to do while waiting for everyone to arrive. This could be a puzzle, a themed coloring or activity page. If you're working on rope tying, you could have some pictures with directions and have them practicing that. And of course, if you come up with something really cool, please share it in teams. We love to see what the charters are doing. We suggest some sort of opening ceremony. We call this B.R.A.T. This just helps our kids know that we're getting ready to start. Leader Handbook has a list of suggestions, announcements, and charter business, or as I like to calling it, giving air to the room. It's a good time to do this right after opening ceremony. Address any dues issues, take attendance, take up any badge homework if there was something that they had to take home to do with their family. Remind scouts about the current badges being worked on, announce what activities you're doing that day, and make any other announcements such as fundraising, birthdays, or chartering news. Then we're going to flow into I saw somebody theme these as elements, so I've been going with it. We've got our spirit going with an opening. We've aired out our business. Now we're going to flow into our game or activity for the evening. Games and physical activities are meant to help build a sense of teamwork and develop healthy relationships between the kids as scouts. Physical activities before setting down to do badge work can also help the scouts focus to pay attention. And if possible, you can relate this to the current badge work. Then we're going to fire up our passion with a craft if your badge requires a craft or if you're doing a craft that meeting. You may not have a game or a craft every activity. This is just a general flow sheet for how a basic meeting could go. And then we're going to ground ourselves at the end, taking a time to ground and relax, having a snack. And it may be that for your kids, the snack needs to be in the middle. Again, this is a suggested outline. When we're sitting down and having our snacks, may be a good time to reinforce what we've learned with the kids through a discussion, asking them about what they've learned, about what they were excited about what they enjoyed. This also gives you feedback on the things that work and the things that don't work, so that you can adjust future meetings to work better. And finally, we suggest you return back to spirit with a closing ceremony. The closing ceremony is a part of everybody saying goodbye and should cover any last-minute business or minor planning for the next week's meeting. The Leader Handbook has suggestions for this as well. So don't feel that just because you're a hearth, you can't do some of these things. I've had hearths express that to me in the past. We want you to do these things too if they serve your family. So I hope this suggestion, again, these are not steadfast rules, these are suggestions, serves your circle or your hearth and helps you grow your own traditions. Let's talk a little bit about scout ratios. For hearths, this is a bit different because you're just dealing with your family. But if you are a circle dealing with multiple families, you have to adhere to these adult to scout ratios. If you are a raindrop or firefly, it's 1 registered adult for every 5 scouts. For a spiral scout, it's 1 registered adult for every 7 scouts. And for a pathfinder, it's 1 RA to every 12 scouts. If you have a group that's mixed, this is one of my most common questions. If you have a mixed age group, say you have 5 pathfinders and 2 spiral scouts and a raindrop and 3 fireflies, you're going to go with the youngest age. You're going to need 1 adult for every 5 scouts. So make sure that in a mixed age group, you are doing the lowest age for your scout ratio. And all circles have to maintain 2 deep leadership. What is 2 deep leadership? We adhere to the 2 deep leadership policy. This is common in most scouting groups. This means that there has to be a minimum of 2 registered adults at every meeting for every charter, with at least one being a leader. In addition, each meeting must meet at the minimum adult scout ratio listed in the slide before. The term registered adult refers to registered leaders and volunteers. This does not include parents who just come and are not registered themselves. Parents attending meetings with their scouts are not calculated into adult scout ratios. If they want to be included in that ratio, they have to register and do this process too. And I think we're going to stop there and talk about monthly reports and whatnot in the next set. Again, as always, if you have any questions, reach out to HQ or membership@spiralscouts.org. And my number is in the Proto Charter Handbook, which is in your orientation team under General under Files. And until next time, have a great day.